What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to your home for all things combat sports.
Yo.
So the news that shook the MMA world this week, Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk apparently want to fight each other inside of the cage. Now, I think we should break this down Barnhill Brothers style. Let's see who's got the size advantage, who's got the technical advantage, and if this fight is to materialize, who do you see winning?
Yeah, well, this is one of those scenarios that's kind of so rare that people actually have to pay attention to it because you'll never see anything like this happen ever again. This is Conor versus Floyd times a million.
Yeah.
You know, those guys were fighters. They've always been fighters. We're now talking about two guys who are well on their way to becoming trillionaires, who are currently some of the richest people that the planet has ever seen. And they've had no business or no interest in mixed martial arts that I'm familiar with in their entire lives. But as we always say on this show, tough guys want to be actors and be these, public figures, and public figures want to be tough guys.
Yep.
And this is no different. You can have billions of dollars in your bank account and be worth all this money on paper, and you still want to be that guy that was, revered in high school or the jock. That's what Zuck and Elon are chasing. And it's hilarious to me that Dana White is like the guy who, anytime anything like this happens, he answers the call. He's like, I'll get both of them on the phone right now.
Yeah.
And he did, I believe. And they're both actually down. They're both saying they're serious about this. I'd love to see this thing shake out because I think life is all about rare moments and awesome events, and this would be one of those.
Yeah, no, this really is a possibility. This could actually happen. Mark Zuckerberg was the first to kind of lend into the fact that he was into MMA. He talked on Joe Rogan's podcast about how he's training jiu-jitsu, and he's training with Mikey Musumeci, who's one of the best jiu-jitsu players in all of the world right now. So his training and his tutelage is coming from really good people. I did see even him training with Mighty Mouse and some stand-up. They had the shin guards on, and obviously Mark Zuckerberg is a white belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's even newer than that at striking, so he's very beginner to say the least. But he does have a technical ability advantage on Elon, who, to my knowledge, hasn't done any training. Now, he said he did a little judo and karate as a kid, but let's be honest, who in the world didn't do a little karate growing up as a kid? I think we can kind of discount that.
Right.
If you've been training BJJ for a couple of years and you're doing that with Mikey Musumeci, you definitely are going to have the technical advantage. Now, Zuck is going to need the technical advantage because he's way smaller. I think he's about 5'7", 150 pounds. Elon Musk, I believe, is 6'1", close to 200 pounds. He is older. Musk is 51, and Zuckerberg is still in his late 30s, so Zuckerberg's going to have the age advantage there. But if I'm just looking optically, I'm like, which one of these guys is more athletic? Got to go Elon.
Right.
Which one of these guys is more technical? Probably Zuckerberg right now. Now, what is good for Elon is that the MMA world loves him. And pretty much everybody and their brother who's involved in MMA has now offered to train Musk for his fight. And he's going to need it because, Zuckerberg already has Musumeci and potentially Mighty Mouse in his corner. And I think John Jones even chimed in and said he would train Zuckerberg as well. So this thing is getting very fun, very fast. And Elon said on the Nelk Boys podcast that he's got a move up his sleeve that is guaranteed to take anybody out in the octagon, and he calls it the walrus. Now, I've been training just casually for the better part of 5 or 6 years, and I've never heard of the walrus.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with said walrus?
I'm not, but I'm waiting for the video to surface of Elon performing the walrus on somebody in the practice room. And if he's able to get in there and tell Zuck exactly what he's going to do, I'm going to finish you via walrus, and then go in there and finish him via walrus. Now we're talking about a Mystic Mac, a Mystic Elon, a Mystic Musk. There it is.
Mystic Musk, there you go.
One of those guys who can call his shots and then goes out there and does it, even though his opponent knows exactly what he's doing. So I would love to see this fight come to fruition, and I do think that if they're really talking about making this thing happen, that Dana White's the guy to do it. You got to do it in the UFC. And when Zuckerberg first sort of surfaced in the UFC MMA world, I thought it was all just, publicity and PR stuff. He was trying to push the, one of his, products and the meta and try to watch fights through virtual reality glasses. And that sort of fell, and nobody really talks about it anymore. But I think what happened was MMA hooked him in, and he was like, well, I like this. I like the rawness. It's the most pure sport that anybody can possibly do. We've eliminated all of the, the rule sets that you have in boxing and kickboxing and jiu-jitsu and all this stuff. And it's just bare bones, man versus man, mano a mano, conflict resolution. And I think that Zuckerberg is a smart guy and he's got a cerebral mind, so he was drawn quickly to jiu-jitsu and realizes that, it's very much a technical thing. It's analytical and there's like science behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what drew them in. And now they're starting to realize that you're going to burn more calories and have a lot of fun if you start adding a little bit of kickboxing and Muay Thai in as well. And so now they're just full-on MMA fans and potentially MMA fighters who are going to do something that most people in this world never do, which is step into a cage with another human being that's looking to inflict damage on you, and they're going to go out there and see who gets their hand raised.
Yeah, and I can see why people like Musk and Zuckerberg are drawn to things like jiu-jitsu because, back in the early 90s when it was Hoist Gracie doing his thing, it was a lot of tough guys, a lot of military guys, a lot of muscle men, people like that would rough and tumble guys that would get in and try to learn this thing that everybody was calling jiu-jitsu. But then slowly and surely, the nerds came over because they realized how technical and analytical you could be and how you could use leverage as kind of a smaller stature, weaker guy to defeat the big bully that you may have been beaten up by in high school. And so the appeal there, I definitely see the appeal for both guys. I mean, I think we're talking about the biggest fight of all time if this happens.
sure.
So these guys, there's going to be almost, as you said, $1 trillion of net worth in the cage, and God knows how much in the stands around it. So this is going to be a massive event. And what I think could push it over the edge is the fact that both these guys are charitable people. And Dana White said he's willing to donate the pay-per-view proceeds to charity. I'm sure these guys will be able to raise more money than most third world countries will ever see in a decade and do whatever they feel is the charitable thing to do with it, and also be able to compete and have some fun and live that jock moment. They get the chance to be the captain of the football team, and at 51 years old and 38 years old, they thought that opportunity may have never come, but it's coming. And as far as an early prediction, I'm going to go Musk, just because I think that Elon's the kind of guy that if he does say, I'm going to do something, he goes all out.
Right.
He's like, I'm not just going to create an electric car. I'm going to create a self-driving electric car in a fully automated factory, and I'm going to do that while I'm sending rockets into space. You know what I mean? So I would expect his preparation for an MMA fight to be no different. He'll pay the proper attention to detail that he needs to win. And then he's going to have that size and strength and athleticism advantage over Zuckerberg. Now, Zuckerberg probably will have the jiu-jitsu advantage just because it's hard to make up ground, especially in grappling. But I think Musk will be able to get the job done on the feet. I think we could see a TKO victory for Elon Musk.
Wow, yeah, that's a great prediction. Early prediction because we haven't seen any footage of Elon training yet. Obviously, everybody saw the footage of Zuckerberg training, and he looks like he knows what he's doing. He's winning jiu-jitsu tournaments, and, jiu-jitsu was created for the smaller fighter to beat the bigger fighter and use the proper techniques and mechanics to win a fight against somebody who's superior, physically. But Zuckerberg has not been doing it for all that long. And, it's very different to practice jiu-jitsu in a safe room where somebody's, guiding you along the way. It's very different than fighting somebody in a cage who's actually trying to hurt you. And I don't really see there being a massive advantage for Zuckerberg there. But if Elon doesn't get to training as quickly as possible, he's going to start to, make a bigger gap between their skills. And then eventually Zuck's going to have way more skills and way more tricks up his sleeve that he'd be able to utilize against Musk. But all in all, I think this is a win-win because everybody on the planet knows who Elon Musk is, and pretty much everybody on the planet knows who Mark Zuckerberg is. And this is going to bring new faces and new, people to MMA that might have never heard of it before or might have never seen it before or been interested, purely because they want to be entertained and watch two billionaires, soon to be trillionaires, fight each other. And then the other aspect about it is everybody always likes to talk about how fighting is a poor man's sport. You don't get in this for the financial gain because only the very, very select few most successful fighters in the world make enough money to live that lavish Conor McGregor style life. Now we're talking about the richest of the rich people in the world who have all the money in the world, but they don't have these sorts of heroic nights, these sort of memorable historic events in their repertoire, in their life's category of, experiences. And so we're seeing actually not the poorest people in the world fight each other, but we're going to watch the wealthiest people on the planet fight each other. And it's not going to be for money. It's going to be to help people. It's going to be to help the world. And I think this is a win-win for everybody involved.
I'd love to see it.
Can't wait.